Pippa moved into a new house in Montreal with her boyfriend, Thomas. They were excited to live together for the first time. One evening, while having a drink, they saw the apartment across from their window. It caught their attention because it was fully visible. The neighbours there were kissing, and Pippa and Thomas watched, sharing their opinions. Pippa told Thomas to stop looking and respect their privacy. After some convincing, he agreed. Each window showed different lives, but the one across was the most interesting. Pippa tried to get Thomas's attention by dressing up in a nice nightgown, but he was asleep, and she couldn't get his notice. The next day, Pippa started her day in the new neighbourhood and went to work with her friend, Ari. Ari asked about Pippa's life with Thomas, and Pippa told her about seeing the neighbours being intimate. Pippa worked as an assistant to an eye doctor and wanted to be a doctor herself. Her senior doctor gave her something for the birds at her new home, making her happy. When Pippa got back home, she found a lovely drawing of Thomas on a blackboard and a gift related to birds. They talked about their new neighbours and admired the beauty around them. They noticed their neighbour choking, but when they tried to tell his wife, she didn't understand. Pippa wanted Thomas to help, and when the wife saved him, they shared a relieved kiss. At night, Pippa couldn't sleep and went to the opposite window again. She saw the neighbour's wife leaving for a trip, and her husband saw her off. Pippa, curious about the neighbour's charm, teased him, but he accidentally broke a glass of water. The next day, Thomas, who worked on music for ads, saw their neighbour, a photographer, being close to a model without his wife. Pippa noticed a hunting camera in a shop window and bought it. They investigated the photographer further and found out he invited the same person he talked to earlier for a photo shoot. Later, he provocatively undressed. While Pippa and Thomas tried to be close and create something special, like the neighbour did, things didn't end happily for them. Pippa couldn't sleep, so she went to the kitchen for water and found herself looking at the neighbour's window again. She noticed that the neighbour and his wife had a strong connection. The next day, Pippa talked about what she saw with her friends. While chatting with Thomas's sister, she found out that Thomas could capture sounds from closed spaces. Thomas explained how he could hear sounds from the neighbour's house using reflections and vibrations. They tried using a mirror to help, but it didn't work. Still, Pippa was determined. She and Thomas decided to go to the neighbour's party without revealing their identities to install a device that reflects sound. At the party, Sebastian, the neighbour, lifted Pippa and took her to a photo shoot. Thomas was asked to take a picture with her, and Sebastian guided them on posing. After the photo shoot, Sebastian walked away silently. Pippa took advantage of the crowd to place a mirror behind a statue, and with her guidance, they left the house. Thomas used a laser to reflect light onto the mirror, letting them hear the couple's voices. The couple argued, and Julia, Sebastian's wife, found out about his unfaithfulness. Tired of arguing, Sebastian wanted to end the relationship, and Pippa and Thomas felt relieved when the argument ended with broken glasses. At her workplace, Pippa found out Julia needed new glasses. Pippa helped Julia pick a new frame and did an eye test to make sure everything was okay. They got closer during the process. Julia suggested spending the weekend together in a sauna and hot water pool, and Pippa agreed, even though Thomas asked her to cancel the date. Thomas, working in music advertising, became curious about what Sebastian said to his photography models. He adjusted his microphone to listen and realized Sebastian was trying to seduce the models. Pippa shared what happened in the office, wanting to inform Julia about her husband's bad relationships. However, Thomas insisted they should focus on their own relationship and stop spying on the neighbours. Thomas told Pippa to cancel her plans with Julia, but Pippa said no. This made Thomas feel sad, so he left to buy a drink. When the weekend came, Pippa went to a sauna club with Julia. Pippa tried to talk about not hurting others in relationships, but Julia praised Sebastian and said she trusted him. Pippa stayed quiet and they went their separate ways after the sauna club. Now Pippa was involved with both Thomas and Julia. One night she couldn't sleep, so she used listening devices. When she realized Julia was awake, she used Thomas's computer to send Julia a secret message about Sebastian being unfaithful. Julia didn't believe it at first, but Pippa mentioned a used condom in the bathroom trash can. Thomas saw what was happening and got upset with Pippa for getting involved too much. But Pippa was determined to show Sebastian's true colours. Julia found out the truth, grabbed a knife, and went to Sebastian's room with Pippa and Thomas there. Thomas got scared and tried to call the police, but Pippa stopped him to avoid trouble. Julia decided not to hurt Sebastian and left the room. An angry Thomas broke Pippa's and went back to the bedroom. The next day, Thomas talked to Pippa and asked her to stop spying on the neighbour. Pippa promised not to do it again. After the scary events from the night before, they hugged. But Pippa felt something strange happening in the neighbour's house. Julia had taken her own life. Thomas blamed Pippa, packed his things, and ended their relationship, leaving Pippa alone. Pippa spent the night sad and alone in bed. The next day, while delivering glasses to customers, Pippa found Julia's glasses and left an angry message about getting new glasses. Weeks later, she saw Sebastian looking worse after his wife's death. Pippa went to a shop where Sebastian was having a drink, trying to make herself feel better. Sebastian noticed her and joined her table. They talked, and Pippa tried to comfort him. Sebastian invited Pippa to his house for drinks and a modelling photo shoot. Pippa agreed, and they went together. Sebastian offered drinks and asked Pippa to join his exhibition opening. He wanted her to pose for a picture. They kissed and started a relationship while Pippa was still in a relationship with Thomas. Meanwhile, Thomas came to Sebastian with flowers, found Pippa missing, and drank his usual drink, also giving some to the birds. Thomas saw someone new in Sebastian's house and realised Pippa was cheating when he saw them with a cat. The next day, Pippa woke up in Sebastian's arms, went home, and found Thomas dead. After this, Pippa felt sad for a long time, blaming herself for what happened to Thomas. Later, Pippa goes to see Sebastian's art show on Poster Street with her friend Ariana. Sebastian is happy she came and tells her to enjoy the show. He talks about a new project and asks Julia to explain. Pippa is shocked when she sees Julia, who seems perfectly fine. The project turns out to be about Pippa and Thomas. Julia and Sebastian share that Pippa and Thomas were spying on them with cameras, recording everything in their house. Julia tells the whole story to everyone, blaming Pippa for Thomas's death. Pippa realizes she was tricked, and they used her. Feeling angry, Pippa destroys everything in Sebastian's place, tearing up pictures and crying. The next day, Pippa has to leave Montreal in her home. While packing, she pours her drink into the birds' water and notices dead birds under the window. Soon after, Pippa meets Julia, who says goodbye. Sebastian and Julia talk to a magazine about their idea for a gallery showing pictures of neighbours spying, changing roles each season. Sebastian acts nervously during the interview, and they leave with a gift from their fans. Later, they discuss Sebastian's guilt over drinks. Sebastian questions Julia, who denies any responsibility for Thomas's death, blaming an anonymous person at the exhibition. Suddenly, the printer starts working, and Pippa sends them a message revealing she knows everything and that Thomas didn't commit suicide, but was murdered. Sebastian and Julia notice Pippa and chase after her. Pippa runs to her workplace but can't stop them. She tells them she knows Julia poisoned Thomas, making it look like suicide. Pippa accuses them of playing her and being responsible for Thomas's death. Julia pretends innocence but suddenly faints. Pippa tells Sebastian that the drink was her gift, and she poisoned them, wanting him to see her face for the last time. Pippa takes them under the eye equipment, blinding them, making sure they can't mess up anyone else's life.